Hello, good evening, everyone. We'll just give it a few minutes with the game just to let people join the platform. And again, if you're there, you're free to leave comments. You're free to drop me a message, and I'll be able to see it and read it up. If you're there, say hello. Okay, I see that 3 persons have joined. Can you please say hello on the comment section? I'd like to welcome you to this. Okay, great. I see you, Irene Hub. I see you, Edna. Thank you for joining. I see you, Kibia. I know you're not using your real names, but thank you for joining. Thank you for finding the time. We were supposed to have this yesterday. And again, I apologize that we couldn't have it done yesterday because I had something urgent. I had a quick presentation to do online as well, but it was really, really important that I gave a brief speech at this event. So again, I apologize. Okay, my name is Dr. Sarah Chidiberejo, and today we'd like to continue a conversation that we started 2 weeks ago on referencing using the APA 6th edition. Now, we do know that the APA, the 6th edition of the APA, is not the current version. There's a 7th edition. But for the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, this is what we have adopted. And so today I'm sharing with my students, the amazing, wonderful, lovely students of River State University, postgraduate students, sharing with them online. Just to remind them, there are lots of guides, and for this class, of course, there's a guide that is being prepared. But just to run you through the main things that you need to know when you think about documenting and referencing using the APA 6th edition. And because we started this 2 weeks ago, I'll just go immediately to the slide where we left off. Okay, so I know we talked about documentation, we talked about how to reference books, newspapers, websites. I think what I would like to draw your attention to now will be YouTube. There's a way, there are sometimes it's either you draw data or you make reference to some videos on YouTube. I need you to know that there's a way that you can reference it. Remember, it's important that you follow this style to the letter. In the 7th edition, there are many more, but for the 6th edition at least, there's a way to reference YouTube. And this is the example right there on this slide. You have to include the author name, the date of posting, and then the title of the video, and the format in which the video was presented. And then you have to include the URL, the Universal Resource Locator. It's important that you did that. Why do we reference? Just as a reminder, we do this so that when people read our documents, they're able to verify the sources and the arguments that we have laid out. And if we borrow people's ideas, sometimes they want to verify, they want to know, they want to see those things for themselves. So if, for instance, a professor or some credible statement was made in a video, or you want to include that as part of your data. For instance, you want to reference this particular video for a particular reason, maybe you're doing some kind of research around it. It's important that you include this information so that anybody else who wants to, access this information will know exactly where to find it. So there's an example there. The author of that particular video, and this example, of course, is Monash University Library, 2014. As you can see here, there's comma, and then November 23. That means the day, the exact day, not just the year, the day the video was posted. And this is the title of the video on YouTube. And of course, it's a video file retrieved from, this is the URL. So you have to remember to do that in your own work. If, for instance, you're citing a video on YouTube. I'll go now to talk about tables. It's not just designing a table. Tables play important roles. I know we mentioned this in our last conversation here. They play important roles. They help us visualize our data and simplify complex text. When you want to design your table using APA 6th edition, there are some things that you ought to know. The table number in bold is placed above the table itself. So number 1, table 1, table 2, table 3, table 24, and so on and so forth. There's a brief title indicating what the table is about. And of course, it's in italics, and we're going to see an example. There are no vertical lines, that is lines running from top to bottom, except in very exceptional cases where it cannot be done without. We'll see in the table that I'll show you shortly that there are no vertical lines, only horizontal lines. And then they're usually clear, they're concise. The labels for the column and the row headings are very clear, straightforward, so that everybody understands what you're saying. And then you have to include a note if there's a particular important information, or maybe the table was sourced from another location, you include that as a note. And I'll show you now briefly. This is how the APA 6th edition table looks like. As you can see here, there's a table number. There are no vertical lines. They are just horizontal lines to demarcate the title of each of the columns. And you can see here, it's very clear and easy to read and understand. This is the table title, number of boys and girls by age group. And you can see that it is italicized. And then, of course, there's the note. This table was not generated by the author. It was adapted from another document. And so you can see here that just below the table, there's a note telling us exactly where the author got this particular table from. It was adapted from example book, a particular book by, this is the name of the author, this is the year of publication, this is the page number where the table was, lifted from, and then copyright 2016, this is by Scribbler. This is just an example of how your note should look like. If it's your own table, then there's no need. If it's a table that you generated as a result of your data or whatever information, there's no need to include that. We just lay it out that way. Remember the different parts: table number, table title, column heads, the body of the table, and of course, table notes when and if necessary. We'll make progress. The same thing with figures. So we have tables and then we have figures. There's a difference. The tables are these ones that have like vertical lines and stuff. Figures are more like images or graphs or charts, different types, whether they're smart charts or just normal regular charts that you want to include in your work. Those are the ones that we call figures. And the rules are not too different from tables, because as you can see here, there's a figure number, there's a figure title that is italicized, then this is the body of the figure itself, and then there's a legend, because people cannot just look at it and imagine, what does gray stand for? What does lighter version of gray stand for? As you can see here, boys represent the gray, very deep gray lines, and then the lighter shades of gray represent girls. So for your figures, you need to include something called a legend. And I know that most of you know this, I'm just reminding you. And then of course, you see here that there's a note. Number of boys 30, number of girls 31, just to sum it up. So you include a note if there's any important relevant information that you feel that your reader, your supervisor, your school, your faculty, your external supervisor needs to know about the figure that you've included. So remember, tables, figures, and the next example we'll look at now, what we call images. So for images, of course, again, remember, for every image, there has to be an image number, or in this case, a figure number, because an image is a kind of figure, right? And then there has to be an image title. What's the name of that image? If you've included, you're doing the research, for instance, about, say, let's say you're talking about Rivers State and you're addressing a global audience. It might be relevant for you to include the map of Rivers State or some images of things happening in Rivers State. For instance, today, the state conducted this marathon. Somebody may be looking at some of the things that the governor is doing and trying to write around that. And we want to include this. And you may have maybe obtained photographs, whether yours or from other people online, and you want to include it as part of your research work. That will qualify as an image. When you include it in your work, it's important that you include the figure number, you label it appropriately using italicized labels, and then a note describing what the image is about. These things look as though they're simple, or sometimes for some persons who are not very technical or who don't like obeying the rules, it may be a little bit complex. But please, I beg you, I would like to remind you that for the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, this is the requirement, APA 6th edition. And it's not just about your in-text citation, it's about your reference list, it's about your images. They must follow a particular pattern, and it is compulsory. So please, you can come back anytime you like to look at these videos again, or because you have a guide containing some of the things I've explained here, just take the guide. It's going to be a very small text, like a companion, something you can carry along anywhere you're going and anywhere you're writing. And you can look through it and use it as a guide every step of the way. I will also, in addition to giving you a hard copy, I pray the printer finishes on time because I want it to be of a particular quality, really small, but really useful. I'll also be sending you the soft copy version so that if you're the type who doesn't like carrying stuff around, you also have the soft copy version on your phone or on your laptop, to help you. But for now, we make progress because I have to run you through all of this. And we have just a few more to go, by the way. Okay, now we get to the reference list. Remember when we started our conversation right in class? I said to you, when we talk about referencing in general, there are two things we do. We have the in-text citation, and then we have the reference list. The in-text citation is how you incorporate sources while you're writing within the main body of your work. The reference list is the list you generate that contains all the complete detail of the references you have in-text cited. And this is how it's supposed to look like. Remember when we started, 2 weeks ago, I told you how the reference list is organized alphabetically, and you apply what we call hanging indents. So as you see here, it begins here, but the second line is indented, and so on and so forth. As you can see here, it begins with A, B, and then it goes down to AD, and then all the way. And there are simple ways of doing this on Word. It's been very difficult to have postgraduate students or students in general who don't know how to solve simple problems. If you're using Word to type up your document or somebody else is doing that, and you encounter some kind of difficulty, very simple, just go on YouTube and ask a simple question. How do I resolve this? And it's done. How do I apply hanging indent on my reference list? You see a guide. But remember, these things have to be applied to the letter. APA 6th edition is a very strict guide, and it's important that we follow it through if we're going to successfully complete our program with the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies. Okay, so now just towards the before I come back to the thank you page and all of that, I'd like to go to the very start and just remind us a few things that we've talked about. Referencing and documentation using APA does not just apply to the body of your work. It starts with the entire way your work presents. When somebody picks up your completed text, how does it look like? How many inches? How many from the margin, the page numbers, where are they placed? How did you organize your headings? What kind of fonts did you apply? All those things matter. And I remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about it, that your page layout, your page, let me show you what I mean by the page. This is an example of an A4 page, yeah? I was saying here that use 1 inch margins all on all sides of the paper. So from this point to this point where you begin writing has to be 1 inch. From top to the point where you start here, 1 inch. From this edge to this edge, 1 inch. From this point to this point, nothing less than 1 inch. And you can organize this safely using Word, MS Word. And then the page numbers in the header. And I'm just going to show you the example that I've included here. This is what I mean. Okay. This is where your page number, not below, not in the middle, not center up to the right. It's important that it's here. And please make no mistake, sometimes some of your supervisors may not be very familiar with some of these things because they have their own styles that they're familiar with or they are used to. it's important that you please tell them that what you've been taught and what the faculty emphasizes is APA 6th edition, and that you must apply it. That's why you have your page number here. The page number, top right. And then you need a running head, a brief summary, or your title. If your title is not very lengthy, I mean the title of your thesis, or the title of your dissertation in case of master's students, or the title of your project. If it's very lengthy and so can run from beginning to the end of your page, you need to abbreviate it. You need to make it shorter and ensure that it runs all through your page. Once you do it on the first page properly, it will appear all through your document. So you don't have to do them per page. Remember what we said about the heading? It has to be centralized, and so on and so forth. I'll pause now and just wait if you have any questions at all, because I want to keep this really, really brief and short. I don't want us to be here for more than 30 minutes. If you have any questions, you can pop it. But in the meantime, I'll just run through and keep showing you. In talking about the references, you center the word reference, middle of your page, and then you format it properly. Remember, the author's surname always comes first. Surname first. My name is Dr. Sarah Chidibere Joe. My surname is Joe. So every time you cite my work, it is Joe, then you put comma and you say S, then C, Sarah Chidibere Joe. My surname comes first, and then my initials. Remember, and that's how you apply it all through your work. We use hanging indents, as I just showed you, to organize our reference list. And remember also that it's organized alphabetically. I also want to remind you about the tables and figures that they are arranged. Each table is numbered. So you can't just say table or just copy and paste the table or just design a table and leave it there. It needs to have a number. It needs to have a heading, because everything that you give us, we read your thesis, we read your dissertation. And when we read it, we are aiming to make sense of it. So if there's anything that is included that is not necessary, take it out. Yeah? And get straight to the point. If you must include a table, ensure that it's playing a particular role. If you've included a figure, ensure that it's helping your work. It's helping to enhance meaning, not just for fancy. If you've included a figure, ensure that it's playing a strategic role, and you have to incorporate and explain it in your work. I know that in your research class, the other research classes where you're learning about qualitative and quantitative research, I know that you're being taught how to incorporate your table in your conversation. We know that we talk about tables and figures mostly in our data presentation. And then we also incorporate a little bit that, but when you're analyzing, when you're discussing your findings, and when you're doing your discussion, it's important that you refer to them so that people can just go back to that point and know what you're referring to. If the table is not necessary, if the figure is not necessary, if the image is not, you're best served to take it out than to just leave it there. Yeah. Now remember, the title of your tables, your figures, they have to be clear, concise. They have to be proper, not too lengthy, not too wordy, just straight to the point, so that once people see it, they know exactly what you mean. If you're not sure about the titles or the labels that you've used, please consult your supervisor. We talked a lot about in-text citation when we reference people, even as we make our conversations. And I explained to you 2 weeks ago how we do that. Joe 2000 in brackets argues so, or you place it at the end. Remember the use of comma, the use of full stop, really, really important. When am I to use a comma? When am I to use the full stop? All these punctuations are important in the context of referencing using APA 6th edition. I think in our next class, which is supposed to be the last, I'm going to now point you to some of the things that technology has made possible. In other words, software and platforms where you can generate references automatically. There's several of them. We have RefWorks, we have EndNotes, and then we have just popular platforms online where you can take your resource, plug it in there, and it will generate any kind of reference that you're applying, whether it's APA 6th edition or 7th edition, for free, so you don't have to bother yourself. And then I'm going to send you a YouTube link for you to look at on how to use things like let me just check one second. Okay, I'll show you how to use Zotero. I'll send you links on how to use RefWorks. I'll send you links on how to use Mendeley. All these software and platforms can just help you. You don't have to bother yourself even looking through a guide. It will just generate it for you automatically. I'll find those resources and I'll share it with you because those are not things that we can run through in class. Okay, let me look through now and see whether there are any messages said. I'm still confused with the title page explanation. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Any other question? Somebody says that will link. Okay, I'm sure she's referring to the link, and the link will be very useful. Please, if you have any questions, pop them up. Okay, let me go back now to the slide on title page that she's asked about. One second. Okay, so this part of this document here, okay, because on this page, there are just about 3 pages. This is your title page. What I mean is, in this particular one, all you have to do is to include your name, the title of your work, and your university in the middle. And then at the top here, the running is a running page, something that appears all across the pages, the title of your work. So that one is by default. So self-generate once you do it in the beginning. But your title page is just a plain page that contains the title of your research, your name, and your affiliation. In this case, Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, River State University. That's all you have on your title page. I don't know whether this helps. So this is your title page, this page here, plain. Let me show you a page like that. So if you have a plain page like this, all we want to see is your name, the title of your work, your name, and your university. That's all on your title page. Okay. So Irene, yes, I'll send you the link later today or later tomorrow on how to use Zotero and all the other automatic generators of reference. They will help you. But I'll also encourage that even though these platforms help, like every technology, sometimes they may fail. So I've had situations where I use, say, Mendeley, or I use Cite4Me to generate a reference for a particular text. And then when I go back to look and read through it, there's a mistake. Maybe you use capital letters throughout or something was off. I was able to immediately correct it because at least I know I made an effort to understand how APA 6th edition or 7th edition or any of the references work, the guide. So the fact that I'm going to show you these automatic ways of generating your reference and your in-text citation, it doesn't negate the fact that you need the guide and you have to keep it like when you're writing. Let me tell you what I do. Okay, right now I'm writing a paper. I've been working on it for more than a month now. I keep the reference guide for that particular platform, the one that's recommended for that particular journal, close to me. Is the APA 7th edition. I keep it very close. So that as I'm writing and I'm generating my reference list, and you generate your reference as you're writing, don't wait to finish your work before you now start because you forget everything, right? So as you're writing any reference, any kind of source you include, quickly go and detail the reference so that you have it there. Because if you finish writing before you go back, you may have lost it, or you may not remember where you got it from. So I have it very close to me. I have my guide, physical copy and online copy, always with me as I write. You won't understand how important this is until suddenly you submit your work. And then they ask you to go back and complete it just because you did not include one person that you in-text reference, because they didn't find it on your reference list. These things are really important. And I must warn, the River State University is changing. There's been changes with the postgraduate school. And right now, the university is it's edging towards excellence. So it's really, really important that I remind and emphasize that some of the things that people used to get away with, poor referencing, poor documentation, just bringing haphazard documents, documents that they didn't read through themselves. They just talked to the supervisors. Supervisors were busy and they just say, oh, go. Because students bothered them to just sign. No, your work is your business. You're responsible for it, not your supervisor. So when they call you, whether it's the external supervisor or when you go at the faculty level or at the postgraduate school level, you're not going to say, oh, my supervisor said, no, it's you. It's your name on the document first before the supervisor. People understand how much pressure supervisor is under, and so they cannot look through everything for you because postgraduate students are not children. You're not undergraduates. You're not year one students. So it's important that you listen to these things and apply them to the letter because I'll be watching. Because I've been asked this semester to teach you. It means that as soon as you come on board, they're going to give me your document and say, look through and see what you've done. And if I catch anybody who wants to form my hands, that would be nice because I will call you back and you have to do the right thing. So please, let's do the right thing always. Okay, so let's see who left this comment. Make me proud. Please see. Make me proud. I think we should put some money on this, right? I think we should put just to encourage. I'll be looking out for the people who will do the best. I think when I look at your document, everything is perfect, and you receive some kind of award, and we celebrate you. Yeah, even if it's 1 naira in this Tinubu administration, we'll give you just to say well done. So please get to it. I'd like to make a brief announcement here as well regarding our CA. You know that this is a research course, and I'll be speaking with Professor Jubi Okon, who's teaching you qualitative research, and the amazing Professor Fred Amadi, who's teaching you quantitative research, to figure out how your CA, or I don't know, have you done any? Can somebody let me know on the comment section? Have you done any kind of CA at all? So that we know how to do it. Because I think that this section of the work will be about 10 over 30. I'd like to figure out how we'll deal with that. Have you done any CA at all for the course? And then I'll try to make I'm really, really working hard. You know how these printers are. The first sample they brought for me, I didn't like it. They brought this bogus document, and it's not a large document. I think the cost implication is in its usefulness and the fact that I really spent time, incorporating something that'll be useful for you, not just for this course, but for the entire period you'll be writing your work and beyond. It's going to be really small, and I'm going to add an e-copy. So please, if you haven't paid for that, pay for it. But I was talking about the CA. I would like to find out. Let me see. Okay, Uge says we haven't done any. Can somebody else confirm? Maybe Uge was not in class. Okay, somebody says here, no, ma'am. Okay, so you haven't done. I'll find out from them how the CA will work and know what to do. And then towards your exam. Does anybody know, is the exam date out yet? Because for this particular part of the research course, we have just one more class. I'll work with Dominic to figure out whether it's better to have an online class or to come in person to have that one. It's just to have like a refresher and to guide you through the text. And I'd like to come when we have the text with us. So just look through it. And I don't think it's difficult. It's really simple. It's not difficult at all. Just follow the rules. The APA is just a bunch of rules. Once you know the rules and apply them, you're good. Okay? I haven't seen any other question, and I would like to begin to wind down now because it's supposed to be a 30-minute session. Are we okay? Do we understand at least at a very basic level what all of this is about? Okay, this is Ellen Hub channel. If you ever subscribed to us, this is the best time to do so. Please share our content and follow us. We use this platform not just for news and publicity and information and training, but we also use it to share educational content. Our numbers are rising, so please encourage us here. Okay, who's this? I didn't get a response to my question. What question did you ask? Can you please quickly repeat it so I deal with it? Okay, wait, hold on. Is it okay to use full referencing during the in-text citation? No, you can't use full referencing in the in-text citation. In-text citation, please go back and watch the video again. It's just the name of the author, the surname of the author, and the year of publication. And if you have quoted, or you have paraphrased, or you have summarized in a very specific way, then you include the page number, the exact location where you got the information from. So if you didn't quote, if you did not paraphrase, you're just making a generic statement referring to somebody else, then it's just a surname, comma, and the year of publication. So no, you can't use full referencing during the in-text citation. In-text citation is a brief version just pointing us. When we now go to your reference list, we'll see the full detail. If it's a book, for instance, we'll see the name of the author, the initials, the title of the book, and where it was published, or the publisher. So yeah, I think I've answered that question. Now let's see, there are a couple new comments. Thank you for today, Doc. Thank you, Doc. Okay, thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you for finding the time to come to allow us to do this. There are 33 persons here, and I'll expect Dominic to send me the attendance. I won't be holding anybody tough on this particular session because we changed the dates, and who knows, people had other plans or something. But they can always come back to watch it. But please, I need the attendance for the first class that happened 2 weeks ago. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing weekend. And if you have any questions you don't want to pose here, you can always do me a DM or ask it on the general platform where we all are, and I'll respond. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have an amazing weekend.